Just watched the very end of the NBA today. See why I dropped out of college? Anybody in their right mind after watching that last video I just made and then me watching the NBA today, Big Bang Theory's on now. But you can see why I dropped out of college. My senior year, I sat there and they said, okay, here's all this stuff and then what I have to do. And I went to go to the counselor and stuff. And they said, well, you have to do this and then you have to compete to get the best grade paid average to be the top graduate in your class to teach history. And I went, well, I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to graduate, right? But because like with Professor Hendricks, she tried to flunk me out of the class. She tried to get me out of the class because of my grade point average. So my first paper, she didn't like it. She gave me an F minus. And I knew she thought I was going to drop the class. And I knew that she would not give everybody else, she would give us at least an A, which would give me a C minus in the class, which I don't care about GPA. All I care about is right and wrong and what is good and bad. And, she was abusive, and I was not going to capitulate to her abuse, and I was not going to be run out of the class. I sat there every day front and center. Said, no, you're going to James Meredith me and take me down to the janitor's closet and say that's where I learn from this class until I learn my place. She was a black woman. She did the same thing the University of Texas did to James Meredith because she didn't like what I had to say. And then when I explained to her TA, I said, she sat and told stories all the time. You have no idea what I've went through as a black woman. And she told these stories, and they were literally pathetic. And then I told the TA after class, no, I was raised in New Mexico and white and then abused by all the Mexican kids because I was white. Then we moved away from New Mexico, and I was considered Mexican and abused by all the white kids because I was Mexican. Then, and so forth. Then I married a black woman in the service in North Carolina, where Professor Hendricks is from. She was from a high-class, aristocratic, black educator family in Charlotte, North Carolina. When they went in public and did things for civil rights, she was called a nigger by white people, and they cussed at her and called her a nigger. It was horrible. Lady, you ever been chased and threatened to be beat up because you're the man by a bunch of kids that considered you their occupier and their dads made more money than your dad? You ever been beat up by young ranchers at basketball games and had the refs laugh at you because you were a Mexican drug dealer, got kicked off all your high school basketball teams and stuff and profiled off your high school basketball teams because all the gossip was you were a Mexican thug and drug dealer? You ever, it just went on and on and on. You ever been accused of being Dominican and Puerto Rican and bugged it? And then when they found out your wife was half black, she was an uppity, bitchy, it was horrible. Just all the stories I told about the racism I had gone through in my whole life to her half black, half white TA. And he goes, my God, her being called a nigger is like, oh, well, poor baby. And her parents sit down, you're not a nigger. It's like, you is a nigga, man. So just be a nigga, be proud. A nigga, you gone. It's even though you gone, and I was called nigger probably just as much as more than she was. But it was by other black folks that said, that's my nigga, man. Parsons is my nigga. I earned that. And I don't ever give that up. And I'm proud of that. Okay. I am proud to be Anthony Gaines's nigger, Carl Cunningham's nigger. I'm proud to be, Kevin Holloway's and Art Caswell. That's my nigga. That's my dog, right? I am proud to be my brother, my brother's nigger. Okay. I'm proud. I earned that. I worked hard for that. I put in the time. I put in the empathy. I put in the effort. Brian Hall, he goes, damn, he goes, Earl, you're the black man. It's like, you know who Sojourner Truth is and Mary Bethel Cookman and you know who W.E. Du Bois, you know his writings, you've read Richard Wright, you know all the, and Anthony Gaines was the same way, Your mom has Richard. Yeah, I've read Richard Wright. I've read, Black Boy. And yeah, he goes, not all white people are like you, Earl. Not everybody has a mom like you have a mom. Not all white folks feel empathy and understand and try to understand what it's like to be a black person growing up in the 1950s, the United States. Native son. All right. And so, I remember my one professor criticizing this story, Black Like Me. He says, we don't need a white guy to tell us what it's like to be black. It's like, that's not the point. He colored his skin to be black and be profiled as black in Louisiana so he could tell white folks what it's like. Okay? Because sometimes it's hard for a black person to explain to a white person just how horrible it is to go through the hell of economic tribal conflict in that state of being in that state and time, right? So it's very difficult, And me and Mike Riley had that talk, and I said, I understand, because, you can, with me, I could be like, sometimes I was like Brandon Fraser's character from that Jewish football character at the prep school in New England, They found out he was a Jew, and then all hell broke loose, right? With me, when I would come up and they think, okay, well, he looks like he could be Mexican. Well, he's a white guy. His name is Parsons, and then they feel you out. And then it's like, you're a goddamn spick lover. You're a goddamn nigger lover. You're goddamn, like what happened with my mother in San Antonio, What are you, a rebel or a Yankee? Well, my father's name is Philip Sheridan Murphy. You're a goddamn Yankee. And you're like, fuck. Ignorant people, man. You can't win for losing with those assholes. Okay? And my dad told me about that. He was all upset when I married Steffi in North Carolina. He said, well, there are all those ignorant people you're gonna put up with. I said, Dad, it's an instant asshole filter. When someone's, you're a goddamn Yankee, alphabet. Okay, stay away from them and watch them, because they might be putting sugar in your gas tank and trying to put nails behind your tires and shit. And and then okay, I'll keep an eye out for the Klansmen over there. And then the people that were good bent over backwards to let you know, hey, I'm here for you. You need a friend, winter, spring, summer, or fall. All you got to do is call, and I'll be there. Yes, I will. You got a friend. Ain't it good to know you got a friend? When people can be so cold, they'll hurt you, and they'll desert you, and they'll try to steal what you think is the soul if you let them, but don't you let them. All right. So it's Triste. That's a good song. You ever heard it? Gypsy Kings. Yeah, Truth Opinion. That's also a good one too. Patrick liked the Gypsy Kings. Yeah, that little Moroccan, Nicaraguan kid. That you had a lot of genetic traits that were very. Kate, with her doing her Native American thing, peeing on the counter, and I told my dad, no, I knew she, most likely from her biological father's side, but she went very Native American on me. And so me being an intelligent, intuitive person, intuitive mind is better than the scientific mind. I understand, and sure enough, a Native American girl peeing on the counter because I'm not listening in Cochise County, and her biological father, Oscar, coming up from El Paso to Manchester, Wyoming. I knew exactly who I was dealing with. I was raised my whole life with his relatives. So, and Kate's my daughter, not his. He's a sperm donor. I'm dad. She'll always be my Katie bug. You don't fuck somebody's wife in a bar because you're dick measuring with a bunch of Navy SEALs with the man because you can't act like one, and then think that the baby conceived at a bar get together is going to be your baby. No, Chrome's my son. Okay, I'm the protector of Natalie, and she's my protector, Me and Natalie had a very difficult situation, and I know that's hard for her, so I talk about it that way. With Emily and Kate, it was so nice we got to be daddy and daughter, father and child. Patrick's favorite song by For Positive Music. Yeah. He didn't understand that. Well, why Amy? Well, because I was told to in prayer I needed to, because of the situation with Natalie. And, I explained that to him over and over again, okay? That the Temple Set Illuminati was going to try to use sexual manipulation to bring me down and bring down my family line with the sexual abuse and manipulation of Amy and Natalie. And one of the main things that helped us all through it was Emily and Kate. Yeah. My crazy bird and my snuggy buggy wuggy snuggy bug. Because Natalie felt she had to protect me. Because Amy told her, that's not your dad. Okay. And the other kids didn't go through the same sexual grooming and manipulation of the Temple Set Illuminati that Nellie did. So, yeah, she's a very strong kid. Her and Amy were abused by perverts, and Stephanie was abused by the Pentagon, and it affected Patrick, and it's really hard. And when you have a bunch of sexual deviants and perverts that are jealous of you and are trying to bring down your status as a protector and a provider and a lover by coming in and mentally and emotionally attacking people sexually, which is hardcore driven into our brains, the the drive to procreate the species with the right person so you can love and be loved in return is the most strong thing in all of human biology. So, as I'm watching the Big Bang Theory here, as you watch the Big Bang Theory and you understand how these people work and what they're willing to do to eliminate God delusions from your head and replace it with science. Science! It's horrible. I didn't understand it. I don't understand it. I still don't understand it because it's wrong. It's wrong to invade people's privacy, use science projects to try to manipulate them and treat them like animals, make them feel like animals, when it's obviously more human and intelligent to give them privacy, share with them humility of understanding natural laws, and explaining to them why it's so important to respect and regard and appreciate those natural laws. So we don't watch these two kids sit here and act like she's got allergies and he went to space and came back, and now they're going to have a sexual experience and we're going to live vicariously through watching it and find entertainment from it for make-believe money and denial of the Lord's Prayer. So no, I don't understand any Nobel Prize winners, any Nobel Prize laureates, any computer programmers. I don't understand Steve Jobs. I don't understand Bill Gates. I don't understand Oprah Winfrey. I don't understand Dave Miscavige and L. Ron Hubbard's Search for Scientology. I don't understand the Vatican. I don't understand them. I'm not required to understand them. I'm just required to be right to their wrong, good to their bad, and truth to their lie. That's all I'm required to do. And I protect children from liars because I'm good and I'm right. Okay, I'm going to go to the store and get my gasoline for my lawnmower so I cut down on all the Roundup poisoning around here to make it through another summer. Such a bunch of fucking assholes. Science. She blinded me with science. Oh, go put on your silk pajamas and get your Thomas Dolby on, which I do like Thomas Dolby. I love you guys. Bye.